Our March board meeting. We are honored to have students and staff with us, and actually a board member who are going to be recognized tonight for their outstanding work. We will start this evening with the students from Lamont N. So we'll have Dr. S come on up to make her presentation.
Good evening. Congratulations to Jesus Pachuca Pachio. He's currently in preschool. His teacher is Mrs. Renziniak. His favorite subject is PE, of course. He loves playing with his cars, running on the playground with his friends, and learning at school. His career plan is he sees a future in fixing cars. From Mrs. Renziniak. Hi, Jesus. I had the privilege of choosing a student of the month this month. I thought really hard about who has made the most progress in our class. You have done so well in school, I thought you should be the student of the month. Here are the reasons I've chosen you for student of the month. You have come out of your shy shell. You are playing with your friends. You are so sweet and playful. You want to do your best at school. You have become so independent at school. You have learned so much this year. I have been honored to be your teacher this year. Continue to do your best, and always try even if it makes you uncomfortable, because if you keep trying, it will be easier. I promise you that it will. Congratulations to you, love, Mrs. Renziniak.
Are you here? Come on up. Hey! Mr. Mormile, would you take a picture for us?
Congratulations, Charlotte. Kaden currently is in kindergarten. His teacher is Mrs. Hamilton. Favorite school subject? Kaden's favorite school subject in school is math, and he loves PE. Kaden loves playing with his Pokemon toys. Kaden wants to become a firefighter when he gets older. From Mrs. Hamilton. Kaden is incredibly thoughtful and caring. He is always supporting his friends and cheering others on. Kaden feels my passion with smiles, a positive attitude, and so much kindness. Congratulations, Kaden.
Another round of applause for Kaden. And next up, from Lafayette School, we have Mr. Dr. Sid Sermon.
Hello, everyone. So on behalf of Ms. Clark from Lafayette School, I'd like to recognize Kimberly Juarez Caballero. Kimberly is a student in Ms. Ragazzi's class. Kimberly, are you here? Where's Kimberly? Kimberly has a brother, Derek, in second grade, and her favorite subjects are reading and art. Kimberly's favorite hobbies are painting and coloring, and when Kimberly gets older, would like to be a veterinarian for her love of animals. Kimberly, come on up.
Another round of applause for Kimberly.
Lafayette's next student of the month is Michael Phillips. Michael was recognized by Miss Jorge, his teacher, and Michael doesn't have any siblings, but his subject is math. I love that.
He does have one sibling.
All right, got none here. Who's your sibling? Hi, honey. Well, we got you now. Maybe just didn't want to admit it at the time. I get it. Favorite hobbies are video games, board games, and playing football. And best of all, when he grows up, he wants to be a teacher. Congratulations.
One last round of applause. And next up from Smaller School, we have Mrs. Williams.
Molly would love to recognize Brady Santiago Rodriguez as our third grade student of the month. She is in Mrs. Stern's class. She has two siblings, Ashley and Joseph. Her favorite school subject is math. Her favorite hobbies are painting and making arts and crafts. And her career plans is that she also wants to become a teacher when she grows up. Congratulations, Brady. Our next student of the month is Justin Dominguez Huevas. He's in grade 4 and he's in Mr. Laves' class. He has 3 siblings, Kevin, Renzo, and Juan. His favorite subject is also math. His favorite hobbies are sports and video games. And he likes to shoot for the stars because his career plan is being the best soccer player in the world. Congratulations, Justin.
Justin here.
Our next student of the month is Ava Corber in 5th grade. She is in Miss Civilella's class. She has 2 older brothers. Her favorite subject is language arts. She likes to draw, sketch, and play on her computer. And she wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up. Congratulations, Ava.
Another round for you.
And finally, we have Andrea Calderon Menjabar. She's in 6th grade. She's in Miss Hellman and Miss Church's class. She has 3 sisters. Her favorite school subject is science. She loves to play with her friends. And she's still thinking about what she wants to do for her career. Right now, she's focusing on school. Congratulations, Andrea.
And Dr. Sandy Sermon back for Community Middle School.
Hello again, everyone. Hello. I was expecting that. All right, our first representative from the Community Middle School is Kevin Rodriguez. Kevin was nominated by his teachers, Mrs. Bennett, Mrs. Peterson, and Mrs. Pettish. Kevin has a sibling, Diana, at the high school, and his favorite subjects are computers and art. Favorite hobbies are working on the computer, and long-term plans would like to become an artist. Kevin's teachers wrote polite and respectful young student. Though shy, he answers questions posed to him and is always prepared. Kevin is kind and a good friend to all students. He can always be counted on and work well with other students in class. Kevin is a talented artist and his drawings are amazing. He will go very far with his talent. All of these qualities make Kevin our choice for Student of the Month. Congratulations, Kevin. Good job.
Mom, was there a picture? Mr. Dawson, I think Mom wants a picture. I don't know how much Kevin does. Another round of applause for Kevin.
Our next Student of the Month is Anthony A.J. Scarpula. A.J. was nominated by his teacher, Mrs. Pettish. A.J. has one brother and 4 sisters, his favorite subject being math. Hobbies are playing outside and especially playing basketball. And when he grows up, and this is a first for me, I'm so proud, wants to be a military pilot. So AJ, just a few words from Mrs. Pettish. I have AJ in my social studies class. He's a pleasure to have as my student. He's such a polite and kind young man. He's helpful and friendly to all of his classmates and respectful to his teachers. He's an advocate for himself by asking questions when he needs clarification of directions for assignments. He works well on collaborative projects with a partner or in a group. He gives his best effort to all of his classes, so no one deserves this honor more. Congratulations, AJ.
Another round of applause for AJ. Last but not least, our high school, Mr. Ed Smith.
All right, good evening. The Crusader Citizen of the Month Award is in recognition of students demonstrating positive Crusader citizenship traits such as responsibility, respect, kindness, integrity, cooperation, tolerance, and perseverance. It's my pleasure to announce our recipients. First, Leah Mendoza. Okay, Leah has one younger sister. Her favorite subject is history, but she likes learning about the past. Her favorite hobbies are baking and listening to music. And her future career plans, she wants to become a pediatrician. Our next recipient, Mr. Louis Malinchak. All right, Louis has one sibling and Selena. His favorite subject is art because he likes to draw. His favorite hobbies are drawing, making videos, and photo editing, painting, sculpture, clay making, camping, and learning to play guitar. His career plans, he's unsure what he wants to do at this time, something art related. He definitely wants to travel the world and maybe skateboard. Yep, absolutely. All right, next we have your friend and mine, Mr. Jeremiah Daly. Jeremiah has 5 siblings, 4 boys and 1 girl. His favorite subject is applied math with Ms. Fazio. Favorite hobbies are playing games, watching YouTube, listening to music, and talking to friends. And he's still undecided what he wants to do in the future. And last but certainly not least, Denzel Urena. Denzel does not have any siblings. His favorite subjects are math, history, physics, and Spanish. They are all classes that challenge him and make him think critically and grow. His favorite hobbies are soccer, going to the gym, work, church, and electrical construction. His future career plans are to further his education at a university in the field of business management. Congratulations,
Okay, and next up, we have our educators of the month, educator and support staff of the month. I'll call up Mrs. Looney for our educator specialist of the month.
I am honored to say that March's education specialist of the month is Ms. Alania Rodriguez. Ms. Alania Rodriguez is an asset to Smalley Elementary School. She is committed to both the Bound Brook School District and her students. Ms. Rodriguez always offers to help translate meetings for parents with teachers, child study team, and administration, which I am very much thankful for. During parent-teacher conferences, you can find her running around the whole school going from meeting to meeting. Ms. Rodriguez knows how important it is to be flexible. She will rearrange her schedule so that she could best meet the needs of the staff and her students. Ms. Rodriguez loves to collaborate on activities to help build upon our students' knowledge and skills across the curriculum. Smalley Elementary School is honored to have a staff member like Ms. Alania Rodriguez. This recognition is well deserved. Congratulations.
With my old schoolmate. And if I could have one more picture, I would like to have a picture with AJ, Grady's, and Kevin, who are all my students.
Come on up, guys. Next up, our support of the month, Mr. Ed Smith.
Good evening once again. It's my pleasure to recognize the support staff member of the month from Brook High School, and that is Ms. Kathleen Jordan. Without Ms. Kathleen Jordan, my hair would not be as gray as it is. I'm kidding, all joking aside. Without Ms. Kathleen Jordan, Brook High School would not run as effectively and as efficiently as it does. On top of her duties as the administrative assistant for myself as the principal, she also serves as the treasurer of student activities, as well as the graduation czar, the substitute whisperer, the item finder, and the listening ear for teachers and staff. Ms. Jordan treats every student in Brook at Brook High School as another one of her own children, demonstrating mutual respect. She is constantly checking on students, making sure they are healthy, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. She is consistently seen speaking with students in the halls and throughout the school while helping to manage student accounts for fines, documents, and whatever else students need to be successful. While it is on rare occasion that she may not always have the answers, she knows where to direct them to best find the help or. Additionally, Ms. Jordan does a lot for our, while Ms. Jordan does a lot for our students, she does an extraordinary amount for our staff and teachers. She assists teachers with helping find coverage on days out, whether on a field trip or sick, prints their class rosters, and helps ensure that all classes have a substitute or covering teacher. Ms. Jordan finds new ways every day to help reduce the amount of work for teachers and staff, either through simplifying reimbursement submissions, creating online forms for documentation and submission, and bringing in new methods, technologies, and styles to best aid others in the school as a whole by streamlining processes which make it easier for teachers and staff to submit requirements. If you have a question or need something quickly, Ms. Jordan has you covered. From classroom supplies to payments for clubs to student accountability, Ms. Jordan's passion and knowledge is extremely helpful. It is for these reasons, among so many others, that Brook High School recommends Ms. Kathleen Jordan as support staff of the month. Ms. Jordan defines our limitless mentality and deserves the recognition for carrying out the mission and vision of our district. Ms. Jordan, you are limitless. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Rodriguez.
All right, hi everybody. So fantastic job and congratulations to all of our specialists and educators of the month, as well as all of our students of the month. I have the unique honor tonight of showing some appreciation to one of our former board members who's in the audience with us tonight. That's Mrs. Michelle DeFazio. Michelle was with the Board of Education for 14 years, with almost half of that being in a leadership role as president of the Board of Education. And so we just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the achievements of the board under her leadership, and then thank her for her term of service. So among the things that the board was able to accomplish under Michelle's direction, it included things like the 5-year strategic plan that was completed in 2018. We're still operating under today. The addition of 2 buildings and expansion and renovation of many of the facilities in the district. The introduction of new and interesting programs for our students, such as the C2B program. And let's not forget navigating our way through a global pandemic that shut down schools for the first time in the century. During that time, Michelle was a stalwart volunteer. She had a steadfast and calm approach, but was also prompt and decisive, and really just had a knack for deploying her wit and humor to help navigate some of the more difficult situations and conversations. Perhaps most notably, the board under Michelle's leadership established a fiscal posture that has allowed our district to deploy increasing state aid while keeping local taxes essentially flat for an unprecedented number of years. It's for all these reasons and many, many more that I'm honored to offer Michelle our thanks and appreciation. And if you'll come up and take your own picture with us, we have a nice plaque to commemorate you.
At this time, if we could have all the students come up, we're gonna take a picture on stage with the board members and all the students and their parents come up to the stage so we can take a picture. Teachers, if you're here with them, we can come as well.
It seems like we keep growing more and more people. Yeah, we're right here, and then they can be in front of us.
We'll go way down. It's gonna be a crowd.
The back row shouldn't be too, well, it depends how we're doing it, I guess. So yeah, let them in front of us, they can block this stuff. Come on down.
Come on.
There's gonna be, you can be right in front of us. Make a second row. Yeah, make a second row, because it's gonna be, yeah, we're gonna be in the back and you're in the front. Because there's gonna be a lot of people up here in a minute. Everybody living on the stage.
Oh, she's coming up. Your mom's coming up. She's coming up on the steps.
Everybody else is raising the block, you know. Not.
Here comes mommy.
There you go, that's good.
Okay, on three.
Stand,
March Madness. One, two, three.
Anybody else? Oh, I think there's some more families. Whatever you want.
My knees are like these. AJ, hold me.
Call me back. I changed my number. And then he turns and he goes, I gotta make a phone call. I gotta make a phone call. Yeah, he does. He goes to the other. You see him being cases twice. And then so he trained, he's gone. He's just, he's never. Next time wherever we go, I'm gonna walk with an arm around you. Come on, man.
Stand in front of the door,
Okay.
All right, guys, I think we're ready to reconvene. So if it's all right with the members, I'd like to jump backwards and make a few comments from my president's comments for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed the shortened format compared to what we did in February, with no training this evening. Don't get too comfortable though, training should resume at our April meeting, when we go through, I believe it is the superintendent board self-evaluation process. And look for some additional comments on that in terms of how close we are to reaching our goal regarding board certification during Mike's governance committee. Probably the biggest thing you'll notice on the agenda for this evening is the budget review. I just want to acknowledge that that's what we spent the majority of our time in operations committee discussing at the last meeting. And really looking forward to introducing a lot of new resources into our classroom. As you've noted in the past, beneficiary of a large increase again in our state aid, or expected state aid. So that was great to see, and should take a lot of pressure off of trying to mine money from within the budget or potentially even increase taxes. So that was great to see. Again, primary focus for the budget strategy remains trying to get as much investment in our classrooms as possible. We've done a lot with facilities, and we're going to be doing even more. As you know, the ROD grant, the request to approve the submission for ROD grants, also on the agenda tonight, but really the budgeting process with Mr. Gursky and Dr. Freeman was about maximizing those investments in the classroom. And then my last note actually has to do with some of my adventures over the last 2 weeks with some youth sports winding down. I found myself the beneficiary of some free time. So I ended up at the NJSBA Finance Conference. Lisa, Dr. Freeman, and I was able to take in Southampton Board of Education meeting first part of this month. And we met again with the Borough Council, Borough Administrator, and we turned that into a standing meeting. So a lot of activity happening within the community, stuff to be proud of, for sure. The last thing, I just want to give a quick shout out for some student achievement. I was also able to attend the Somerset County School Board Association meeting, where Jordan Stockwell was recognized as the unsung hero from Brook, which I thought was really fantastic. It was a nice ceremony hosted at Hillsborough High School. We had our administrative team was there, Southbound Board of Education's president actually doing Jordan and her family. And I think it was really just a great honor for one of our students who was very well deserving. I do want to make one quick administrative note. There is an item on tonight's agenda. It's under item 8.6. It's for a potential policy change regarding recognition for student athletes by the board. It's not something that actually passed through the governance committee, and I just wanted to be transparent about that, which is that a normal course officer bringing new policies through the committee for the review and endorsement, only then to the board. But I think this is a positive step forward, and really will be in service of some of the aims that we have to better recognize members of the community. So I hope that you've had a chance to review that. When we get there, we can discuss it and hopefully move that forward. And that is it for my president's comments this evening. We can now move on to committee reports. Oh wait, I apologize. Mr. Gorski, are you going to do your presentation on the budget tonight? You sure? Yeah. Yeah, so Mr. Dawson, it says we're going to divert to Ms. Lima for education, but since you're now the chair, we'll divert to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. The Education Committee met earlier in the month. Primary topic of our conversation centered around new master schedules at the high school and the middle school. So there have been teams at both buildings led by Mr. Smith and Dr. Santacerna about creating new schedules that might better meet the needs of our staff and our students. So high school, a rotating drop schedule is in the works. So in a rotating drop, students have 8 classes, but only need 6 classes on a given day. Classes are designed to be around 60 minutes in length, and the first period of the day has a few extra minutes to facilitate morning arrival. One neat thing is the order in which students attend their classes changes in a 4-day cycle. So for example, on a day 1, a student would have period 1, 2, 3, but not period 4. And then in the afternoon after lunch, have periods 5, 6, and 7, and drop period 8. And the following day, different periods drop out of the schedule. So that design is advantageous for a variety of reasons. So it gives our kids additional instructional time, which should support student achievement. And it also gives our students and staff members variety in what their day-to-day experience looks like. So by having different courses at different times of the day, that may increase their attentiveness and their engagement. At the middle school, they are also working to design a new schedule. So the proposal has ELA and math classes lasting for a double period, 80 minutes, while science, social studies, and specialist classes will last 40 minutes. Teachers are looking at 2 40-minute prep per day as well as a duty assignment. This model will also have an increase in instructional time in math and LA to support student achievement. Students will also have phys ed or health daily as well as other electives. And one great thing about both schedules in both buildings is they both offer us opportunities for intervention and enrichment that we can explore as a district to directly support student achievement. We also, as a committee, did review some of the programming the district is preparing for the summer. So there are programs for a variety of students: inbound kindergarten students, elementary students, programs in math and literacy, programs for English language learners, as well as programs for middle and high school students, as well as an extended school year program for students with disabilities. So those programs, with the exception of the program for inbound kindergarten children, generally will begin in late June and run through late July. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Any questions on education? All right, hearing none, let's go to government.
Okay, I just have a few quick items. First, as you saw in your email, our board has officially reached all of the criteria to become certified. So we will be, that will happen in May at the council meeting, and we will receive, I suppose it's a plaque or something that we can display proudly here after that meeting. As far as our upcoming schedule with Gwen, we're going to keep our training going. As the president said earlier, April 26th, she will be here to go over self and superintendent evaluation, as many of us haven't gone through those processes before. At this point, we have accrued 17 and a half hours, which is actually more than we need. We've done things, we were getting hours for some things we didn't honestly even realize. Like our superintendent search, when we were trained on that, and when we set our goals, and when we had our retreat on board structure, they were all counted towards hours. Just so that we're aware of kind of keeping up with things, at the end of this calendar year, 2.5 of those hours do drop off, so we have to keep over 16 to keep our certification. So we just have to be mindful. We would have to do ethics anyway, but we'll keep looking at the trainings that are available, and we'll pick some for next year that are meaningful to the members as well. Next, we very quickly discussed our 5-year plan and our progress. We're in year 4 right now, coming to the end of year 4. And we're in right now, quite honestly, is quite broad and very difficult to achieve. So we're going to be working to give it a little bit more of a narrow focus over the next year. It is the charge of the governance committee under the guidance of Dr. Freeman. So that's not something that will be starting soon, but maybe this summer or going into the fall, we'll be starting to look at our next 5-year plan. And let's see, and we briefly talked about some of our new committees. One that we talked about, and this is for you, Lisa, is extracurriculars. Community extracurriculars goes along with it.
Yeah.
Talking about maybe going to an every other month schedule once you've kind of met with everybody you want to meet with, you've got the ball rolling, and that's really going to be up to you to decide if that's something you want to do or not. That's something we brought up only because of scheduling. As we added another one, extracurricular, we thought maybe they could, go back and forth. So that's something we want to talk to you about. But we should also, those of you who did volunteer for extracurriculars, we should start meeting pretty soon, because as an ad hoc, we have a few things that we do want to accomplish there, or at least discuss. And lastly, the negotiations committee, has to reconvene. Last time we used the HR committee, and we'd like to stick with that, if everybody on HR is okay with that. Or if any other members have any concerns, we'll obviously listen to them, but that was our thought. That's the way it went last time, it seemed to work well. We did a good job with our negotiations, things ran rather smoothly, so as long as you guys are okay with that on HR, that's the way we'd like to do negotiations again this time around. And I think that's everything I have for governance. Any questions?
Well done. Now we move on to human resources.
Human resources, yes, Mike, we are okay with that. The
What's that?
negotiation, we talked about negotiations in HR. And we did that. I left my legible notes at home, so. Apologize. We have, started advertising on njschool.com. And in the first 3 days, we had over 400 views and 20 applicants, so I'm sure that would have been in the beginning of the month, so I'm sure that has only increased. It was determined that there was never really a clear building and grounds job description, so they went to correct that, so we have a nice clean job description for buildings and grounds.
Could you use a microphone? We're having trouble hearing you down the other table. They're so far away.
We have a clean job description for buildings and grounds now. We just discovered that we never really had a good job description or a good job description for that. So that has been done. And regarding the additional increases and stipends for CST, this is under 6.2. The NBA, we have sidebar agreement. Stipends for the additional cases that we're taking. Were you guys able to hear me about NJ school jobs? Dennis?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll be working on the 23, 24 10-year list. That's going to be created. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Mussey? All right. How about operations, Mr. Zumba?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to begin by publicly thanking our administrative team, that team works in work so diligently, very hard at putting everything together. To give an overview, the operations team, to use them very long time. I don't want to exacerbate this. We're going to have a presentation afterward, and the board president, we have picked tenets of the meeting that I don't want to go over, but I just wanted to thank everyone. I've been doing this a long time in education, and I've never seen a budget that was believable. And our process was incredible, beyond professional presented. So we began discussing revenues. Noteworthy items were the new revenue sources of $1.6 million from excess surplus for the 21-22 school year. That was created by efficient management of the 21-22 budget, which recognized greater revenues and lower spending that was in the budget. Also, new for the upcoming budget, the state of New Jersey requires school districts to drain the restricted unassigned surplus balance from 4%. COVID adjustment back down to 2% and adding just under $900,000 in excess surplus figure. State aid also increased to us about 21%, which allowed the district, this was incredible to do, to purchase instead of lease purchase, facilities upgrade, and that saved costs while also saving budget caps and for future years. I mean, things just the stars on. We then discussed appropriations, reminding the community reminded that the new this new budget is incredible. It's a zero-based budgeting model, and I'm going to when the presentation is made, I'm going to let Dr. and Paris explain that a little bit more. But It's a highly effective budgeting technique in which all spending appropriations start from zero. So basically, everything started from scratch, and the old rule book was thrown out, and they started from scratch. And the result is a highly effective planning tool which helped the district identify and eliminate unnecessary costs. We kept control of spending by intentionally redirecting resources towards direct classroom programs and instruction. I want to repeat that again. By redirecting resources directly towards classroom programs and instructions. That is stellar. Other fixed expenses required no traditional development, additional staff, predominantly in instructional areas. There's an increase in out-of-district tuition, special ed, spending and expansion, textbooks, educational programming, different talent programming, expansion and adjustments to the budget for inflation, especially in transportation. Transportation is something we've been everyone's paying more for transportation, and that is affecting us as well. Facilities are being upgraded at the high school Lafayette, Lamont Elementary, small school receiving boiler replacements. The high school Lafayette will receive bathroom renovations. The high school track and fences will be replaced. The field looks absolutely incredible. The high school field house and press box will get new roofs. The high school will receive, this will be right here. The high school will receive Mr. Smith and new gym floor. And the schools will be receiving new equipment like instructional monitors, security cameras, and a district-wide new phone system. Mr. Gorski identified a lot of shared services, which also will help us with costs. And the budget is at 10. However, the tax consequence to the residents is also very favorable. I don't want to get too much into that because I want to leave it as a teaser. We also talked about grade reconfigurations and limited redistricting to alleviate enrollment pressure at certain schools. Basically, our enrollment is going up, and we want to take a look at where the best bang for the buck in relation to. We have a demographic study done, and the architectural review was a review of facilities and enrollment patterns. As a result of the demographic study, the following were proposed. Smaller schools are expected to have third grade removed, which will remove approximately 100 to 150 students. Smaller school has the greatest enrollment pressure, causing high student-teacher ratios and other challenges to performance and safety. Lafayette Elementary will be reconfigured to host grades 2 through 3. Lafayette currently has available classrooms which are projected to be able to absorb the increase. Lamont Annex will become K-1, and the committee recommended the initiative to further explore and consider these options. School hours were also, and scheduling were also briefly discussed. We also discussed recognition of major sports programs and accomplishments. There was finally, a change to create shelving as part of an AC upgrade at Lafayette in small. Overall, the committee worked the entire hour, and the presentation was, I have to say, beyond anyone's expectation. And again, a public thank you to our administrators team. A job well done. Any questions?
Great report, thanks, the only thing that I would add, just to avoid any confusion, is redistricting in terms of which grade to be at which building. The presentation of operations was a preliminary review, just so everybody understands that may be necessary. I think the administrative team is still going to continue to evaluate options and come back to the board with a plan.
And those are things that are possibilities. Those are possibilities. So nothing talking about grade reconfiguration is written in stone. The committee was a very proactive approach. I was very happy to see, knowing how, based on a demographic study, our population is increasing. So, having proactive changes. But again, these are possibilities.
That was my only comment. Any other questions or comments from Roger?
Yeah, really quick, I heard you say, possible changes in school hours. What was that discussion?
So I
I'm gonna throw that ball over to our president.
Sure. I think that had to do with recognition of how difficult drop-off can be in district right now with all of the buildings starting at roughly the same time. So for parents with children in multiple buildings, it can become a chaotic affair. That probably is more true this year than in prior years, where we have so many different construction projects going on around town, that it's just generally chaotic, other than the addition to the school drop-off level. So I think, again, that's about keeping our options open, understanding the area of opportunities to improvement, and starting to brace people for the potential for change, especially starting at the community level. Dr. Freeman, if you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that's exactly it. These are options that we presented. We're currently looking through, going, having conversations as a team as to what would be the best option. So they may not happen, but we want to make the public aware so it's not a surprise in the event that it does happen.
Excellent. Any other questions for Mr. Zucker? Well done. So for community engagement, I'm actually going to do a brief report, and then I'm going to defer to Lisa for maybe a couple of quick updates and comments. We didn't actually have the opportunity to host any committee members, or I should say community members, at our meeting this month. So what we did is we took the opportunity to review the ones that we had engaged and look at the next few months worth of expected activity to see where we think our roadmap for the committee might include, or at least become stable, ongoing operation. And so we identified a few different groups, those being the Cranbrook Booster Club, the Seniors Club, and the Elks, as the final three groups that we wanted to meet with on a one-on-one basis. As I noted in my president's comments, we've actually already gone and visited the Booster Club, and I thought that just like with the other groups, there's learning for us, for them, and opportunities for all of us to do better. Lisa has already reached out and made contact with the seniors and the Elks, so hopefully get them on the schedule, and we'll attend one of their meetings or bring their leadership into the ball meeting and have another collaborative session. We did talk briefly about the potential for a governance change. All the members who were present were not opposed to going to an every other month type of meeting schedule, provided that actually supported the amount of activity and still left us in a place where we could deliver on the committee's expected objectives. And I think that's actually it for the committee report. If any of the members that were present would like to add anything, or Mr. Zeno, if you'd like to add anything, please feel free.
And I think that's a great recap, and I think what we're finding is now that we've reached out to leaders within these community groups, a lot of the work is sort of ongoing touch base versus needing a monthly meet, let's say. So we'll just continue to stay in touch with all of those great committees out there doing fabulous work in the school district. When they meet us, they know they can reach out, and I'll always stay in touch, just with a phone call, email, make sure that we're supporting them the best way that we can. And then I think, to Mike's point, if we wanted to refocus on the different ad hoc and do every other month, I think that would be very fitting for the needs of the community outreach at this time.
And the only other thing out of that, and again, in service of our original board goals for the year, I think one of the big ones for the district was to establish Dr. Freeman as really an educational leader of the community. And I think one of the byproducts of the work that we've done, because he was such an integral participant, is we allowed him to become familiar with it, for the community to become familiar with him. And I think that in and of itself gives everybody this understanding of who's responsible and where to go if they have questions or issues to be raised. So I think in that regard, the community out there has served its purpose as well.
I agree.
The last note on here, Sue, do we have any updates from the SCESC?
The only update that we have.
If you did about
Aliens come. The only update that we have is that the next meeting is April 5th. They do every other month. This one is in February, this one will be
Okay, at this point now, do we want to revert back and address the budget? Yes, Mr. Chair. The way the agenda is set up is first we will have a presentation on the budget and invite the board members to come down to the first row so they can see it straight comfortably. And then we'll have a public hearing where any members of the public have an opportunity to express their position on the budget. And then we'll have board questions and then a vote. Very good. So at this point, board members, if you'd like to take a seat in the audience, we'll have questions.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to our Board of Education meeting, our board presentation. We are very excited to present the budget to you tonight. Something we're very proud of. We have constructed what we think is a near perfect budget. When I say perfect budget, what I mean is a budget that expanded our educational program to better meet the needs of all students, all classifications, while still being financially prudent and making sure we didn't put too much of a burden on the public. So before we start, and I'm very big on this, and before a project that took so many people, included so much input from so many people, to kind of thank those that were involved. We want to start with the Board of Education, you all, because you have given us direction, ideas, you've been very active in the process, and give us parameters to work within that made it very easy for us to come to the budget that we have. I want to give special thanks to the Operations Committee. All of the back and forth, Mrs. Zubko, Mr. Dawson, Mr. Januzzi, Mr. Zito, all the back and forth, the ideas, the questions, which sometimes you think that we mind because you're giving us a hard time, but it's not the case, because what happens is when you ask questions, you kind of make us sharper in terms of the way we're thinking, what's expected, what the community would like, so we appreciate that very much. Also, I want to thank personally, because we started a new process, which Mike will talk about a little later. We started a process whereby we did zero budgeting, which meant that instead of adding a percentage from the previous year, which happened most of the time, what we did was we started from a zero-based budget. We talked about the needs of our teachers, our students, our parents, all of those things. We built the budget from the ground up, which is very different and to be scary, because it takes a long time. I know Mike was sweating, having a heart attack about how long it was taking initially, but then he embraced it. What ended up happening was we had so much input from everybody involved that it allowed us to get exactly what we needed. So I want to thank the Central Office Administration, Beth, Mike, of course, for working their magic. Also, the school administration. They were charged with going back, working with the supervisors as well, the teachers, to ask questions, to give input, which was something that hadn't been done before. So the teachers and everybody was pretty reluctant initially, but once they engaged them, they saw that their input was really going to be taken. What ended up happening was a beautiful thing. We got all the input from all the stakeholders, and mainly from our teachers, who are the ones in the classroom who really know what students need and what's going on in the classroom. So the district supervisors and the teachers, so we want to thank everybody for the outstanding job that was done. I think we're going to be very pleased with the budget once I turn it over to Mike, who is going to express the dollars and cents and how the process went. Okay, so our main goal for the budget was very simple. It was to develop a budget that supports an educational program that first meets the needs of all students. So a lot of times we make a budget, or a budget is made in order to address everybody at an equal level. But of course, when we have different classifications, we have different levels that need to be addressed, such as education, differently talented, bilingual, all of those areas. We really took a look at all of those areas and saw what specifically they needed as a whole. So that was the first thing. And then behind that, which the board charged us with, was we looked at how the community or the local taxpayer was going to be affected. And I'm happy to say the impact on the local community will be awesome. Like Rod said, it was a teaser. I won't tell you the dollar amount. I'll let Mr. Gorski tell you that, but I can tell you there was minimal impact to the local taxpayer, and we created an educational program which was totally outstanding, which you'll see. Okay, so 3 things we considered. We considered the mission statement, the board goals, and the district goals. As you can see, and it kind of summarizes what we're trying to do. The Bound Brook Public Schools is a supportive multicultural community that provides an innovative and academically challenging educational program while offering a variety of extracurricular and social opportunities that encourage lifelong learning. So it's not just those things in the classroom. These are all the clubs and the different activities that spark kids' interests, build ideas, and spark creativity, that which is needed in order for them to figure out what they want to do once they leave our homes. And then our district goals, as Mrs. Zanussi had talked about, one of the goals was to establish, or for me to establish myself as an educational leader, which I can say humbly that that's been the case. And you can talk to teachers, administrators, to create a safe environment where students and staff feel comfortable taking this and working collaboratively. That was a big push. You know, as we talked about, we don't talk about it often, but one of the things we wanted to change was the culture. The idea that everybody felt safe expressing themselves, giving input, taking risks, and that has begun to happen. I know with the board, I send you the weekend reports where I kind of give you a little summary of what happens, and I know some of you are in communication with teachers, you can actually see and hear the change that is being made to the culture. And last, the qualitative and quantitative measures to inform and refine curriculum. I've talked about data from the beginning. The fact that we must use data to measure how students are doing and to figure out what we need to do in order to get them where they need to be. So we've spent a tremendous amount of time with that, a lot of professional development. We're actually at the point now where teachers are using the data in their classroom with something they feared initially, but now they're using it regularly, as are administrators and supervisors. So that's the first step, the first sign for us that we're moving in the right direction. And then, of course, our board goals, pretty simple, the strategic plan, which I think Mr. Januzzi and Mr. Bell talked about, the adjustment or planning for the ever-increasing enrollment and our facility needs. And last but not least, the continued professional development for the board, which I'm happy to say that they will receive the, what's the title of the board certification, I guess it's next month. So they've done a lot of professional development, more than they actually expected. Okay, when planning our budget, we looked at some key budget considerations, and you heard this in Mrs. Upco's report. We have increased enrollment. Our enrollment is increasing every day, and it's not just the enrollment, but it's the types of students that are coming, students coming with limited English, with interrupted educational experience, which require more needs, more support, and this budget is going to make sure that we supply that. Aging facilities, as we all know, our buildings are 100 years old. That requires us to make a lot of upgrades as well as repairs throughout the years. So we have to consider that when making the budget. And this is the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, which is, you can say data, New Jersey Learning Standards. We wanted to make sure that we start to focus our educational programs, our teaching and learning on the actual New Jersey Student Learning Standards, which means new curriculum, new programs, and professional development. Next is student performance data, which I just spoke about. And of course, the student ratios. We want to keep our class size down so teachers can actually teach and pay attention to the individual small groupings of our students rather than just teaching and letting the middle succeed, as what happens when the classes get too big. And the last, as I said before, was the tax impact on the community, which You're going to be very excited about it. All right, and now I'm going to turn the program over to Mr. Goyski, who's going to get into the details of the budget.
Thank you, Dr. The Bound Brook school budget for the 23-24 school year was developed within specific parameters set forth by the Board of Education to prepare a comprehensive, zero-based budget within tight revenue, meeting the needs of 37 projected additional students, according to our demographic study for next year. Allocated increased amount of resources to programs and instruction. We keep hearing that same theme over and over again. But the goal established early on from Dr. Freeman was to throw out the playbook and come up with a new design for the budget called Zero Base, which empowers the teachers, principals, supervisors, and directors to design the budget, to be accountable for the budget, to have exactly and specifically what they need instead of a percentage put on last year. It's not a one-size-fits-all, it's a custom tailored budget for every school and every program we have. Expansion of curriculum programs and staffing to broadly improve student performance. That's our objective, to push the needle on student performance. Budget for capital outlay projects taking advantage of the new New Jersey ROD grant program, which reimburses school districts like Bound Brook for 40% of eligible project costs and other projects required for health and safety. We've been waiting for this in our field for over a decade for the state to open up the ROD grant window again, and it is wide open. And we have an architect working with us, and the applications are being prepared now, and they're ready to submit. And budget for inflation. We are seeing increased costs predominantly in transportation. We outsource a lot of our routes through the Ed Service Commission, and they put them out to bid. Those bids are coming in extraordinarily high, probably because of fuel, driver shortages, parts shortages, bus shortages, and everything else that industry is facing. And also maintenance and janitorial services and energy are also areas of the budget that are growing beyond our cap growth. And budget to cap meeting the needs of all students. This budget has been professionally constructed to afford every student an opportunity for an exemplary education by well-trained, committed staff in a safe and secure environment. Opportunity is made available through a comprehensive curriculum, which offers diverse course offerings and co-curricular clubs and activities. We believe that our proposed budget is efficient, and they were recognized as such in our county budget efficiency review. With the increased spending by going to cap this year, the district has reduced the under adequacy status. And what is the adequacy status? Adequacy is a state model which calculates what would be the necessary level to achieve and provide a thorough and efficient education to every pupil in the district. Last year, the district was $3.4 million under what the state considers adequate enough to meet T&E. We've cut that margin by more than half, reducing it to $1.5 million under adequacy for the 23-24 budget. What is the budget creation timeline? The budget began in November with the establishment of a budget philosophy, and then we studied enrollment patterns, specifically at every school. We had a new demographer come in and study the enrollment data and do a 5-year projection. We review staffing needs at every school. Mrs. Fisher did a fine job with all of the principals going through every section and staff need. Then we asked the principals to begin developing their budgets, which they were all submitted timely before we left for winter break. These were all developed from scratch. Everybody entered their items into our Genesis software. And I'm pleased to say that with very few exceptions, nothing has been cut or removed. The principals did a very fine job, in my opinion, of budgeting for exactly what they need. Dr. Freeman, Mrs. Fisher, and I are confident that it's going to push the needle on performance. And then we go through budget defense rounds. We met as a team with each principal. We went through every line item in their budget. In their cases, we asked for adjustments to be made so that we have parity amongst the schools and create efficiency. And the final product, once it was all consolidated, was a consolidated budget with some fixed additions for energy and things like that, which require a percentage estimate based off of last year. And then the governor's budget address is usually the second Tuesday in February. And then the release of state aid comes out 48 hours later by statute. Tonight, we're having the adoption of the tentative budget. And then it'll afford the board an opportunity to think, just like when you lease a car, and you could make the final adoption at the next meeting in April. What is zero-based budgeting? We've heard a lot about it, so I wanted to give a technical definition here that everybody could refer to. I'm not going to read it to you, but it's basically a budgeting technique which all expenses must be just period or starting from zero, versus starting with the previous budget and adjusting it by a percentage or increasing it where you ran short the year before. It's a highly effective tool that helps eliminate waste and also creates buy-in and accountability with our principals, supervisors, and directors. These can be refined along the way. We manage the budget throughout the year, and we can make adjustments where necessary. And this is a comparison of traditional budgeting versus zero-based. Again, starting from scratch. Requires new expenditure justification, is decision and goal oriented. Cost and benefit justification is required. Lines of business management and proposed expenditures. There's greater clarity and responsiveness, and it's more thought provoking when you identify every component that goes into the budget. Where does the money come from? This is a pie chart of our revenues. And Bound Brook is fortunate that 58% of our revenues come from the state aid. That is a double-edged sword. That is good in years like this one, where we're getting an increase. It's expected to be good again next year as S2, and we'll get to that in a minute, is fully implemented. It's a challenge where the state tax revenues deteriorate, don't meet their budget estimates, and you wind up with potentially a cut in state aid. We're actually planning for that already because the economic conditions are changing. You hear that on the news every night. So we're planning strategically for if that day should come. And then federal aid is about 5% of the budget. Going back to the revolutionary period, the federal government has had a hands-off of education and deferred the design of education and the financing of education to the states. Fund balance, as Dr. Freeman mentioned, is one area that we can control administratively. That's the effective management of the budget. It's recognizing revenues that were greater than what you budgeted and expending money less than what was budgeted. And those savings roll over to a subsequent year's budget as another revenue source. And miscellaneous revenue, the district is engaged in a tiered CD program with the bank where we're recognizing between $150,000 and $200,000 of additional interest revenue compared to last year because of favorable interest rates, the tiering of CDs, and also the management of cash. There's a handout which is a comparative revenue schedule, and I'll just mention a couple highlight items. We're going to post these slides and the attachments to the website so the community and the can have a look at it. But one of the large areas that grew is fund balance because of the $1.6 million creation of excess surplus, and also the state requiring that the restricted surplus, which went up to 4% of appropriations in years past to save the squirrel more money for COVID needs, is now forced down to 2%, and that calculation goes into excess surplus. Taxes, as Dr. Freeman mentioned, is going to cap, but not utilizing any banked cap. We respected the previous board's decision to budget under cap And although you're allowed to roll that money forward 2 years, we are letting some of that expire and not using it out of respect for the taxpayers. Certainly, we could find and justify ways to present to suspend it, but I think we're satisfied without it. Other revenue, we have $2.3 million of tuition revenue coming from southbound Brook, including 2 previous years of budget adjustments that are rolled into that number. And state aid, as Dr. Freeman mentioned, is up 21%, $5.6 million. We were close to having a balanced budget when the state aid was announced, and then we utilized most of the money to purchase all of the fixed asset items that we're going to present in a moment, instead of lease purchasing them over 5 years and incurring about $160,000 a year in interest costs. So it saves cap room for the next 4 years and saves money in interest. And if you notice also, the state requires a conservative budgeting with respect to federal grants. They require you to budget only 85% of the prior year because of conservatism. And the general fund tax levy, it begins with a 22-23 adjusted levy for an enrollment adjustment, which Bound Brook was eligible for because, as Dr. Freeman mentioned, we're growing above average. There's an adjustment for healthcare costs compared to the state health benefit plan, which is going up 15% in premiums this year. We do not have that. We have a private plan. And then that calculates the 23-24 tax levy cap. Compared to last year, it's a $588,000 increase in the general fund levy. Again, no prior year bank cap has been appropriated. You could read this at your leisure, but S2 is an adjustment to the School Funding Reform Act of 2008, which is the current budget law still. It's antiquated, obviously, because it was enacted in law in 2007, and it's now 2023-24. There's talk about a constitutional convention at the state level to come up with a new funding formula. We'll wait to see. But S2 was their most recent adjustment that basically took away adjustment aid and the growth limitation caps in the budget to afford under aided districts like Bound Brook more money at the expense of overfunded districts who lost millions of dollars and had to they transition their money back to the underfunded. The goal is that next year, when this is fully implemented, underfunded districts would be at full funding according to the SRFA 2008 funding formula. Previously, the state had a model for funding schools but did not have the resources to fully fund it. So school districts got less than the calculation from the formula. This S2 is an important adjustment to say, no, you're going to get your full amount, and we're going to do it in a fair manner, taking it away from overfunded and giving it to the underfunded. 2 types of state aid. Equalization aid is designed to support a district's adequacy budget. That's our largest area of aid, $27.7 million. And categorical aid, which is a type of aid by category, where districts are rewarded for efficiencies and spending in certain areas like special education, transportation, security, and so on. General fund state aid is 50% of our total revenues to support the budget. And here's a comparison of the individual categories. Equalization aid at the top and all of the categorical aids in the middle. And you can see that's a handsome 20% increase. Where does the money go? Over 50% goes directly into the classroom, and that percentage is expected to increase for years coming. 42.6% directly, and then when you allocate benefit costs, predominantly which pertains to instructional teachers, it's well over 50%. Administration, 7.9, capital projects, 12.9, curriculum development, 2.1, grant funding. We receive a lot of grants, and there's a lot of administrative effort and time soliciting grants and managing the grants, 5%. Transportation, 2%. Custodial services, ground security, maintenance, 8.4%. And benefit costs is just one of the largest line items in the budget. Last year, the health insurance premiums here in Bound Brook went up 13.5%. This year, the state health benefit plan which a lot of school districts participate in, it's a pool, is going up 15%. Brook, because of aggressive negotiating and because of competitive quotes, has a number only increasing 3.9%, and we're not finished negotiating that yet. Appropriation detail is a larger handout, and it shows all the comparative line items of spending in the budget. You will see significant swings and increases in the instructional line items in the budget. And I just caution you, if you're going to use this from an analytical perspective, comparing it to last year, because it's a totally different budget model, it's a totally different administration, totally different board, totally different district and board goals, and it's an apple and an orange. Budget spending is driven by enrollment. This is our audited ASSA student counts for 17-18 through 22-23. 23-24 was projected by the demographer. We don't have those numbers yet. We won't until October 15th of 23. But you can see the growth in population, and a lot of that population is in special needs categories, including bilingual and ESL programs, which require one teacher per 8 students. So that eats up a lot of classrooms and a lot of resources. What's included in the budget? Special education transportation, we outsource that again. We're getting very high bids coming in from the Ed Service Commission, but everything is properly budgeted and estimated in the budget. Some of our facility needs, we're upgrading boilers at 4 schools. And we're upgrading bathroom facilities in the high school and another school. We're replacing the track to make that a complete, beautiful project at the high school, and we're very proud of that. The perimeter fencing, which are Rhode Island, both are getting replaced. The roofs for the field house, press box, and other areas through the district are all being changed. These, by the way, are very expensive items, and we'll get to the slide on that in a moment, but these are generally items that districts have to go out for a bond referendum to procure because of their expense. We're doing it in cap, in budget. Staff and curriculum programs have been expanded. We have a fantastic workforce development program, which is cutting edge, led by Mr. Ross. Brook School District offers direct programs, student-based career for college credit and industry certification at Raritan Valley Community College, Workforce Center for Learning. In conjunction with these courses, this program offers work-based learning opportunities for students that improve jobs at industries for $18 an hour, which is also counted as high school credit hours. The funding for this came from a grant previously. We're still soliciting grants, but to secure this program because of its benefit to the school district and students, we're bringing it in the general fund for now. Robotics program, there's so much here to be proud of. And you'll notice Dr. Freeman's in almost every picture.
Listen, I didn't make
He's very hands-on, and he's a very effective superintendent from the ground up, visiting every school, talking with students. So many of them know his name just from passing in the hallway. It's amazing. And what programs are in budget? I'd like to turn it over to my partner, Mr. Patrick.
So with, in terms of curriculum, one of the things that we do is every 5 years, we take a review of different components of our curriculum and make sure that they're up to date. In this year, we are looking at our language arts curriculum. And of course, it was adopted by us originally in 2013. We upgraded to a new edition in 2016, and now are going for a complete new program this year. So that's going to be a large portion of the curriculum budget. We'll be doing a lot of curriculum writing and mapping this summer. Some of it is for our math program that we adopted last year. Also, again, this language arts program that we're adopting, our ESL, due to the changes in the configuration of our classes and our newcomers program, some of the unexpected things that have come up in the curriculum for ESL that needs to be rewritten. We have some new programs coming in at the high school as well. We're taking a very close look next year at our multi-tiered system of support, as every school district does. We're putting some money towards there, taking a look at, the interventions that are in place in each of the schools, and then how we can offer additional tiered interventions throughout the school day, but also after school in the summer, so that we're best meeting everyone's needs. I'll show you a little bit with staffing in just a moment on that. Besides new adoptions of curriculum materials, we also have to replace textbooks that we currently have. Either they're old, they're outdated, so we're going with newer versions of those. Technology replacement, because we are a one-to-one district, of course, that's a big factor that we need to consider. And we have additional online programs. A lot of our textbooks that we have are now, online for students, but also teachers have asked for additional resources in the classroom that are online, so we're making sure they have those available to them. We are taking a very close look at our gifted and talented program and redefining that for next year. Robin Griffin's going to be leading the charge on that, and she has started putting together a committee, so you'll get more information about that. And of course, the increase to our English language learners. The majority of our students coming in right now are from Central America. Most of them are SLIFE students, meaning that they have a severed instructional experience. We're also working with our different assessment. Again, data is driving a lot of the decisions that we're making in the area of curriculum instruction. We use Linkit right now. We're expanding the resources that we're using with Linkit. We're incorporating their intervention manager for next year. The DRA3 will continue to use at the early levels, also the DIBELS. Key math, we're going to be expanding our ASI services in math, so that will become a component there. And special education uses IXL, but we're also using that. That's, again, an online benchmarking platform that allows us to individualize instruction at student levels and allows for more independent learning by our students rather than teacher-directed. We also considered professional development, of course, with new programs and new textbook adaptations with the high school and middle school changing their schedules. All of that factors into professional development, bringing consultants in, as well as sending staff out. We were able to really increase engagement for professional development this year by doing those virtual PD opportunities. We are looking at some purchased virtual professional development platforms, as well as EdWeb, which our teachers found very beneficial. But what that allowed us to do is to free up some funding, which we're incorporating into next year's budget, to be able to send teachers out to conferences and workshops, which in the past we were not able to do. So it's been great to actually have teachers come and say, can I attend something, and be able to say, yes, you can. That's a big, a plus for me. Professional memberships, again, with our staff looking to get involved in different organizations throughout the state, we've been able to increase the funding towards that. And our AVID program at the high school, we increased funding towards that. Oh, there we go. So some of the staff positions that are in this budget, these are all proposed right now. We are working through our numbers, our enrollment numbers at each grade level. And one of the things that we did work out today was when we were looking at class sections and sizes, some of our grades, we don't need as many sections, which was going to free up some space for us, specifically at Smalley School. By doing that, we already own those staff members in the current budget. We're not looking for a reduction in force. So what we're going to do is we're going to reallocate their positions into, for example, academic support instructors for math at both the 1-2 level and the 3-4 level. We already have it at 5-6. We have 2 vacant positions at 7-8, which I'm hoping that through advertising, et cetera, we'll be able to fill those. But that was a need that we had, that by reallocating those staff members, we'll be able to better meet that need. We added, as you can see, a couple of ESL positions. Our ESL director will be actually joining us the first week in April. She'll be in district again tomorrow, bringing a wealth of knowledge with her. So we'll be able to better identify some needs in that department when she joins us. As you can see, there's also a gifted and talented teacher in there. That gifted and talented teacher will work with grades 2 through 6 for the next school year. We already have some programs and things in place at the middle school, and at the high school, we really need to look at what we're doing to accelerate the learning for our 2nd through 6th graders. So that's where we're starting with that initiative. That's going to be a multi-year initiative for us. As you can see, we're looking to, take my position and break it into a couple of different areas. which, not one person can do my job, so that's a pat on the back. But we will be having a supervisor of instruction next year that will be basically taking over for the curriculum and instruction part of what I do. We're looking for a grant coordinator or business assistant. As you know, I run all of our federal grants and programs from preschool all the way up through the high school. That's a large portion of my job, so there needs to be someone in-house who understands how to work with the staff, with the administrators in each building to make sure we're in compliance, and also be able to work on the funding side, which will take some of the pressure off of our current business office in that aspect. And that about covers the positions, but you will see, I believe, total as of today, we have about 19 in the budget that we're working with. So some of these may change a little bit, or there may be, just some tweaking of, as I said, not reducing staff, but reallocating where staff is.
And here's some detail on the capital improvements and equipment that is budgeted in the 23-24 budget. High school and Lafayette are getting bathroom renovations, badly needed, and they are going to be ADA compliant, fantastic bathrooms that serve this community for many decades to come when they're finished. Boiler replacements are going to take place at the high school. The units here, there's 3 of them, go back to the 1970s. And usually there's at least one that is completely down. There's a second one right now that's currently leaking, and we're running on one. These are very inefficient units, so their replacement is going to create efficiencies in the energy lines for years to come. Architectural fees for the above is a rough estimate at this point. High school track and fence, as I mentioned, copy machines for instruction. All schools are getting copy machines. High school field house and roof replacement. High school gym floor. We're getting Promethean boards, which are interactive big screen monitors at many schools. Security cameras, phone system, and all schools, including the central office building, are getting capital repairs mainly to the roof. The total in the budget is $5.6 million. Now, the gross cost of all of this equipment and upgrades is just under $7 million. But because of this new ROD grant program, we are estimating that we are going to get refunded to us $2.4 million, and that's a conservative number. I wouldn't be surprised if it exceeds that, which brings down the cost only to $4.5 million. As I mentioned, the additional state aid is going to buy these items outright, so we do not have to lease purchase finance them over the next 5 years. We have a number of shared service agreements here. Again, that's tough to read. I apologize for that. This printout came directly from the Department of Education software, but we have a lot of areas here where we're sharing costs with the municipality, other school districts such as transportation jointers, southbound Brook. We do a lot of collaboration, and that saves this district many, many hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then finally, the presentation is going to include with the loan-related tax consequence. What influences the tax rate? Number one, state aid. Districts that receive a underfunding, a small amount of state aid, generally have higher local taxes and a higher tax rate for the community. Fund balance is one area that administration can control with effective management of the budget, and that rolls over as a revenue source for future years. And the township ratables is another key area of the tax rate. What are ratables? Ratables are the aggregate taxable property values through the community, and it's provided by the municipality. Every year they certify the ratables in town, and we're very fortunate in Bound Brook because the ratables have grown over 8% compared to last year. And I gave an analogy that I'll use again. It's kind of like if you rent a Netflix movie for $10 and you're going to watch it with one person. Your rate is $10. But if you invite some friends over, now you have 5 people watching the movie, your rate drops to $2. That's a very simple way of understanding how ratables work. The more ratables, the more aggregate real estate property values that come online in the community, the more sharing there is of the tax levy. And increased student enrollment has a dramatic effect on appropriations. So we're very pleased to conclude this presentation by saying that last year's school tax rate was 1.290. And for the 23-24 budget, it's expected to drop to 1.210, which is an 8-cent decrease in the school tax rate, which will save the average assessed home in Bound Brook of $390,700, $312 next year in school taxes. I've been doing this for 23 years. I have seen only one natural year where we had a school tax decrease in that time. This is the second time. And unlike the previous, this one still has a plethora of appropriations meeting the needs of a comprehensive student body while still returning a handsome school tax reduction to the community. And I would like to sincerely thank all of the principals, all of the teachers who contributed in this budget. There's a lot of hands that put together this budget. Especially like thank Mrs. Beth Fisher. She was influential in a lot of the design aspects of the budget having to do with curriculum. And she served this district, in my opinion, very well for a long period of time, leading this next year. And I would certainly be remiss if I didn't thank and extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Freeman, whose vision of education reform and his commitment to provide each and every student with every opportunity to succeed in an ever-increasingly competitive environment defined the budget process. He brought in zero-based budgeting as a model, and I will say that was one of the key components. That is the main ingredient in the stew that is making this taste so good. Thank you. And the next part, you will have a public hearing, so any members of the public who wish to comment on specifically the budget will have a forum and an opportunity to do so. And then we will have board questions and then take a vote.
Okay, so I'm not seeing anybody rush to the microphone from within the room, so it doesn't seem like we have any public comment. Is it possible for us to check online for comments and see if anybody's submitted? So, Mr. Gorski, do we have to move anything this evening?
Mr. Januzzi, I would certainly open it up to any board questions. If any members have any questions on the tentative budget, we'll be happy, Dr. Freeman and I, Mrs. Fisher and I will happy to entertain those now.
I have one. And again, phenomenal. But I was looking at the architectural fees. So I'm going to get educated in this. It's $300,000. Is that average? I mean, I don't deal with an architect. I'm a social worker, so I don't know. It's something that's, yeah. It's, wow, I get my degree. I mean, is that something that when we're looking at, and I know it's not just I'm not an architect, and I know that there's a variety of issues that have been addressed. So is this did that come in high? Is that bad? Can you just explain a little bit on that, please?
I'd be happy to. Thanks for your question. That $274,000 estimate for architectural fees is just that. We do not have a proposal from the architect at this time. It is a flat percentage on the project cost, which is customary to estimate those soft costs. It's a page holder, and I expect that number to come in significantly less.
Just one procedural question, the zero-based budget, which I love, sounds like it worked really well. It feels to me like a hard reset that you would have to do, hopefully not every year. How often do you anticipate that, excuse me, that process occurring?
So, one of the reasons we did it was to kind of change the mindset and to refocus, put the focus on, allotting the funds to the instructional portion more so than anything else. So the idea of zero-based budgeting would happen as a reset, like you said, that's a good description of it. We wouldn't have to do it every year, but we would go into the budget process thinking to ourselves, okay, what is it that we need to remove, to change? We wouldn't have to start all over again, because hopefully we're gonna build on the foundation that we set this year to reach, the current.
And if I can just add, even from a corporate finance perspective, if you do adopt a zero-based budget, it's usually something that you don't do once every 3 to 5 years. So that's when you feel like incremental adjustments is caught up to a place that is no longer reflected in the projection. Any other questions from the board? I think we have exhausted the question. Thank you, Mr. Januzzi. The only thing left then is item 2.6, which is the adoption of the 23-24 tentative budget. It's a very long resolution. All of the figures are represented there that are required. So it just needs a first and second and a roll call vote. And then tomorrow, Dr. Freeman and I will have our marching orders to submit the budget to the county along with all the checklists and as documents. Thank you, sir. So at this point, we're looking at motion. Motion. Thank you, Mr. Zucker. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. High. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Bell.
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Mrs. Gazino.
Yeah.
Mr. Zupko.
Yes.
Ms. Moosen.
Yes.
Mr. Minhas. Ms. High.
Yes.
Mr. Bowman.
Yes.
And Mr. Januzzi.
Yes.
Mr. Board President, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And thanks to the board for your support of the tentative budget.
And thank you guys for your job well done. All right, at this point, we are open to the public for agenda items only. Do you have any questions online? Any questions from the board? All right. So we will move right on to the approval of the minutes from February 15th. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And we give it to Mr. Powell. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Any comments or discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please? Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Gazino?
Yeah.
Mr. Zupko? Any? So noted. Ms. Moosen?
Abstain.
So noted. Mr. Minhas?
Yes.
Ms. Hine?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi? Motion passes.
Thank you. We are up to section 6. Be it resolved that the superintendent recommends for approval the resolutions as outlined in the district personnel resolutions under 6.2 and 6.49. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. Second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Zupko. Any discussion?
I have a question. Generally, like 6.12 has already occurred. It's senior. It is coming out. What would happen? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a procedural question. I'm not.
No, you're right.
Yes. But I just, how does that work?
You're right,
How
this
does
is
that
something
work?
that was thought of at the last minute in order to help our students, based on what we were doing with the SAT, so we put it on, for approval, and we were hoping that you would. But our goal for next year is to make sure anything that is put on the agenda is put on ahead of time, including our professional development. Sometimes it's 30 days after that.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a question. It's about the new club, the newspaper club. It's coming up. And I know that, very well thought out, et cetera. And it said that, there wouldn't be a stipend position for 3 years. How does that go about? Do you have volunteers who then help out with that club?
Yes, that's, it's part of the collective bargaining agreement. That's the first 2 years that a club's established.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question, Steve. I'm looking at the kind of conference requests. I was wondering if that was just, everyone, it's not the same conference, obviously. It's not. I'm looking at it, just, could you enlighten us a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, everybody's not going to the same conference. Different conferences, they just happen to happen at around the same time.
Well, and maybe just elaborate, has there been any change in practice or process related to continuing education or conference participation? I know in the budget presentation, during the slides that Mrs. Fisher covered, it's one of the things that you're looking to increase as well, correct?
Like, yes, it is. It's, in the past, professional development mostly was done in-house, and bringing consultants in is very expensive. Found that by working with just recommendations from the teachers and looking at different things that were available to us, a lot of the professional development out there since COVID hit is virtual. It doesn't cost as much for the district. So that freed up some funding for us to take a look at different ways that we could provide professional learning experiences for our staff outside of the district. So, as those opportunities become available and the funding is there, we welcome that. Also, we receive a good percentage of money through Title IIA, which is devoted to professional development. In the past, we were always advised to hold on to a certain percentage of it. Working with Mr. Gorski, we are spending that down. So there has been additional funding available there, which we didn't have in the past.
The other thing I'll add to that, these are very, very good workshops that align with what we're trying to do with science, technology, and math. When teachers go out to these workshops, they're able to bring things back and serve as like a training. So that helps us to avoid the cost of bringing somebody in, which is pretty exorbitant at this time, or sending a bunch of people out. So this approach to professional development seems to benefit us much more greatly than what we were doing before.
Excellent, thank you. I have a couple of comments, but I'll see if there's anybody else who has questions or comments that you'd like to share. Okay, so I have two quick things. One is actually just in response to Mrs. Hyde's observation. Our point of view was to demonstrate the need for a club or an extracurricular activity through volunteerism or a lot of financial support. And while that may be a byproduct, it also could have the effect of stifling that activity because it would be difficult to recruit people who actually want to leave and will do so for free. So I think that if we were to look at our policies and our general perspective on how we fill new clubs, if there are alternative ways that we could go about demonstrating interest and necessitating investment in a paid facilitator, then that could be an alternative to this 3-year moratorium on financial support. And then just my second observation, I want to point out that in 6.2, it feels like we're making good on a commitment, again, from negotiations, where we recognize that the caseload that is being carried was both phenomenal and, unsustainable, I think is the best way to put that. And so, you should have noted in the budget presentation that there are additional positions that are associated with helping to reduce that on a per person basis. And until those resources arrive, I think this is a really fair way to recognize the amount of effort that's being put in by that group. So just saying thank you again to our administration for both understanding that and coming up with a mutually agreeable solution. And unless there are any other comments, I will close it here and ask for a motion to approve.
I'm going to add one more comment.
Oh, sure.
And that is, I'm very happy to see that there is professional development going on outside the district. That you get so much when you meet with other professionals, and then you can bring it back. And it's been too long that, everything has been virtual. I'm very happy to see this, and I'm sure that the staff is feeling the same. I'm very happy to see it.
Excuse me, Mr. Committee? Yeah, we already had a motion moved by Mr. Bell, seconded by Mr. Zucco. Great, so just a roll call vote. Yes, sir. Thank you. You may when you're ready. Thank you. Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Casino?
Yes.
Mr. Zucco? Yes. Ms. Newsom?
Yes.
Mr. Minhouse?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
And Mr. Januzzi?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item 7.1, be it resolved that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in the district education resolution. This is 7.2 through 7.14. I have a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bow. Any discussion?
I just want to congratulate the high school on the workout that's going to it's so needed. And, really, for all the stakeholders putting it together. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Has the annex put in for any field trips? I see it from all the other schools.
Dr. S, field trips for your school, I think you have one in the spring where the board I did for buses, is that accurate? A field trip, like Turtleback Zoo?
Yes.
Yes. I would have put it, but it was done earlier.
All right. Can we have a roll call vote, please? Mr. Bow?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Casino?
Yes.
Mr. Zucco?
Yes.
Ms. Newsom?
Yes.
Mr. Minhouse?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
And Mr. Januzzi?
Yes.
Motion passes. We are up to item 8.1. Be it resolved that the Bound Board of Education approves the resolutions as outlined in the board action resolutions. This is 8.2 to 8.29. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bowles, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hyde. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, can I have a roll call, please? Mr. Bowles?
Yes.
Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Ms. Casino?
Yes.
Mr. Zucco?
Yes.
Ms. Newsom?
Yes.
Mr. Minhouse?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Januzzi?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. We are up to other matters to come before the board and any new business. Any members want to raise any new business at this time? Any general comments or questions from the room? Yeah.
I don't want to put our student rep
On the spot. Yeah.
But during the seniors report, he was talking about different options for scheduling. Has any of the students in the high school been talking about their options?
What exactly do you mean by option?
Not to put you on the spot, but it was like for
I'm sorry,
So the Education Committee reviewed a presentation about new high school schedules that would be a rotating drop. So of your 8 periods, you would meet with 6 classes per day. Just curious as to your thoughts about that,
Yeah, just
or any thoughts about the current high school schedule?
any.
But the reschedule, I think it's a good idea overall. The schedule right now, I would say we have some issues, but none that are really prevalent. And, among the students they have been, they know about how the reschedule is going, but, I haven't really heard anything.
First, let me just say thank you for that. It's not easy to answer questions on the fly. You did that very, very well. And if you choose to answer this, we'll give you a better microphone. Just wanted to check in and see if there's anything special that you would like to report for this period, if you have any feedback from your constituents, and it's fully fine if you want to pass it.
I think I'll pass, I don't have any information.
Sure.
For this yet. Possibly we can miss this, that already.
Very good. I think, just on behalf of all the board members, we're really excited to have you at the table. And the more opportunities you have to solicit your feedback, the better off we'll be making informed decisions. So please do feel free to interject, and if you would like any kind of agenda items on future agendas, feel free to.
Mr. President, just to ride your coattails for a second, I really appreciate the addition of our student representative. Having heard from several students that attend high school that they feel there's a light, at least at the big table. So, thank you for your time, and I think that the addition of the student representative is long overdue.
All right, at this time, we are going to entertain a motion to move into the executive session. This could be under item number 1, a matter rendered confidential by state or federal law, and 3, material the disclosure of which constitutes an unwarranted invasion of individual privacy. Pending, President? There you go. 7, thank you. Pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiations as a matter of attorney-client privilege. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Second. Thank you, Mr. Zupko. All in favor? Aye.
Come on, you gotta know, but it's always. So I guess.
What? Yeah, I will stop.
Everybody, thank you.
Tá filmando,